Thank you, Steve. Singapore has had to wait 3 long years to run another Grand Prix, and thanks to truly biblical rainfall, that delay was extended by 65 minutes further. Now, though, we have a sensational race in prospect. It is nearly time for Formula One to return to Marina Bay. 23 turns, 3.1 miles, and one of the toughest tests of the season normally. In these conditions, Mark Webber, difficulty level 100.
Oh my God, I just said before we come on air there, boys, I am very happy to be in the commentary box with you two gentlemen. It is an extremely challenging venue in perfect conditions, which is a dry track and rubbered in circuit, and they've had an opportunity to get their eye in. But this is tough stuff. Intermediates, they will be extremely nervous and challenging conditions.
Leclerc is on pole for the 18th time in Formula One. Behind him, Perez with his 3rd front row start of the season. It is Lewis Hamilton's first top 3 start of the entire year. He missed out on pole position by just over half a tenth of a second. Thrilling session yesterday. Billy, they were exhausted after qualifying, though. They were drained, and they've got to go double the distance. We expect this one to go 2 hours.
Yeah, I spoke to Lando Norris before the start of the race, and he said yesterday the conditions out there were super tricky. You name it, they experienced it. Putting the slicks on in Q3 when the track was still damp, trying to pick out those wet patches under the bright lights here in Singapore. They had it all to deal with. The concentration levels were through the roof for the drivers out there.
And we're just ticking through the field. It's Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton and Sainz, and then in the blue car, just coming into the back of your picture, Fernando Alonso, 350 Grand Prix starts, the most for any driver. He takes the all-time record today, and he has it in longevity records in every single department. So we're on board with the man who's the outlier, the man who lost out on the last run due to Red Bull's fuel miscalculation, the man that can win the Formula One World Championship. If it was dry conditions, he didn't think it was possible. Simple as that. The wet conditions suddenly spring open the opportunity.
Absolutely, they do. But I tell you what, he won't be thinking about that now. He is absolutely present in his mindset, as is this man, George Russell. He'll be starting from the pit lane. So lots of fresh engine actually after some tough qualifying for him. So he had a difficult day last night, and he's at the back of the grid for tonight's race.
If Max Verstappen's going to win the World Championship today, he has to win the race, and we will keep you updated on all the permutations after that. Here's Fernando Alonso.
Number 350, let's make it a special one, okay?
He will need no extra motivation. It's a day where a driver can claim the greatest title in motorsport. Who wins one of Formula One's great events? We're about to find out next. From Marina Bay, this is Formula One's 17th race of the year. We've got one driver at the end of the pit lane, that's George Russell. We have the final car lining up on the grid for a wide open race. This is going to be fascinating stuff. Here come the lights for the Singapore Grand Prix. And we're racing at Marina Bay as they squirt away from the line, and it's a good reaction time for Leclerc. Hamilton trying to cover off in the background, and then up into the lead in the second phase of the start. Perez roars by, and it's Hamilton off the road side by side with Carlos Sainz. Perez, then it's Charles Leclerc, then it's Carlos Sainz up to 3rd. Hamilton down to 4th as they all try to make it cleanly through in the opening meters of the race. It's the Red Bull streaking clear out front. He got a terrific launch in the second phase of the start. Other place is Norris, he's up to 5th. Then Gasly is up to 6th. Alonso down 2.
Yep, great start for Perez. Horrendous start for his teammate. Max Verstappen has lost 3 positions. He's trying to recover some of those as we speak in the first sector, but he did not go anywhere off the line. You've got Fernando Alonso and Gasly battling it out in 6. There's lots of... there's Williams is backwards down the escape road in 7.
Yeah, off the road. I think Nicholas Latifi has gone off a turn 7. That was the Williams in the background, we believe. And they're going to try and continue, but there were multiple cars off there. So it's the first lap of 61, and we've already had drama It's Alex Albon who was off in the background. And he does look like he's kept going, though. This is Max Verstappen wheel to wheel with Kevin Magnussen, who won't want to give an inch. He'll know that Verstappen has to be cautious, and he's very nearly into the wall to lose a position to Daniel Ricciardo, who gets through as they go over the Anderson Bridge. And that was on the brink for Verstappen, who's down momentarily to 13th. He's now back up to 12th.
Yeah, really tricky first lap for Max when he got on the back foot. Front wing damage there for Magnussen as well. That Haas will maybe have to pit, so he's been a bit too robust on this first lap, which is, we've seen that from him a few times, haven't we? He gets his elbows out on the first lap, but Perez is streaking clear. He's comfortable. The top 3 or 4 away. Visibility helps at this point of the race. They can obviously have a clear line of sight. Was better than these guys deep in the pack with some visibility issues. As Max is, yeah, where is he now? He's
down
back
4.
in 4. He's, wow, 12th position end of the first lap. That is not what Red Bull expected, Billy.
No, not at all. And just thinking about the drivers that have made good progress in this first lap, no one more than Sebastian Vettel. He's up to 8th, made up 5 places on this opening lap. Last time there was a wet start here in Singapore, it all ended in tears for Sebastian Vettel. This time he's made it work for him.
It is his best Formula One venue in terms of wins anywhere on the calendar. So a dramatic start that sees Perez lead by over a second. Here's Verstappen.
Magnussen has had Lewis.
Understood.
Yep, so he's trying some games there. We've seen that before with drivers reporting issues, and he's just gone straight round in there. So the drive and traction, Verstappen, I think he's onto something there. That shallow line out of turn 3, it looks like there's a huge amount of grip there. So don't be surprised if he has a look at that again on the next lap and subsequent laps, because but he might not want to show that to the opposition, because you're learning these new tricks, where the grip is, where can you run to find some bite on this ever so slippery surface at the start of this GP.
So past Magnussen through one corner, at the next one it was past Stroll, and now going on the attack like we expected. The driver who was about 6 inches away from exiting the Grand Prix, wheel to wheel with Max Verstappen 1 lap ago, now fighting his way through. This is the race start.
Have a look at Max Verstappen there. His middle of the screen absolutely goes nowhere. Yeah, looks like he probably got into anti-stall or something, so now he's on the back foot. He's got he's pinched on the inside. It gets deep down the inside. Oh, actually decides to go inside turn 1 there, which actually is fine. You know, it was avoiding action in many ways. It was so congested on the apex in 1. Hamilton in 2nd gear, as Billy points out in the commentary box here, gets actually a pretty good drive, but Perez, off you go, son. He's down. Ooh. And the left hand, and Carlos as well. But the left-hand side looked pretty grippy there. Contact there. Max said, yeah, he got hit on the apex of, well, in between 1 and 2 there. So a bit of contact between Carlos and Lewis. Here's on board with Max. This is not going to be pretty. Oh, yep. Anti-stall nearly. Wheel spin. Watch how deep he goes here on the brakes. And then decides to go, oh, I don't like the look of this. I'm going inside. Yeah.
He's watched the replay of what Perez did, his teammate now, when he was racing a few years ago in the only other wet start, taking the incident involving Hamilton and Sainz was investigated. Now look at this reaction time, pretty even, and then second phase of the start, say goodbye.
Yep, very, very clinical off the line there with Sergio, and yeah, he would have absolutely loved that clean run to the first sector, but I'll tell you what, Leclerc's putting a bit of heat on him.
I told you about these tyres. So no grip.
So I don't think he's questioning what tyre they're on as in an Inter. Does he mean, is it a fresh tyre? Does it need to be scrubbed in terms of preparation? Does he want a slightly different selection of an Inter for him to use at this point in the race? Because, yeah, that's the only feedback I can think of. It looks like it's into conditions, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, we'll dig into that one. Turn 1 involving Verstappen taking avoiding action. No further investigation, so he is able to fight. The next car up the road is Yuki Tsunoda. So a little bit of drama at the start, nowhere near the level that we had in 2017, but he was able to get past. Talking of getting past, there's another move for Verstappen, who beats the junior team into the braking zone up to 9th position. He's now passed Ricciardo when he was momentarily down to 13th, as well as Magnussen, Stroll and Tsunoda, as he tries to continue roaring through the field. Remember, he has to win to have any chance of taking the title today.
Got to say there, on the brakes into 14, Max Verstappen looks super confident now, sending it up the inside offline with these tricky conditions, super late and committed on the brakes, so that tells me that he's got good confidence underneath him in that car. Now the race is settling down, and I'm expecting him to make up some more places with the pace that I think he'll show.
This is on board with Kevin Magnussen. This is down into turn 7, wide in 7, so there were multiple cars off the road in the background. Daniel Ricciardo was one, Magnussen was another, and Albon had a dramatic moment which dropped him to the rear of the field, where he remains at the moment. Danish driver's going to really squeeze up against Verstappen here, and Verstappen had to take avoiding action in a couple of corners' time.
Oh, that was close. Max left him enough room, but then there's that front wing end plate on the left there, a little bit of damage, but the lap time discrepancy is absolutely extraordinary up front, because we are on board with Albon. He runs, that was the spinner actually, wasn't Latifi? Yep, that's right, yep. Albon backwards in 7, and he's out of there.
As you can tell, not drying out very quick.
They are continuing to post personal bests all the way through the field. Fastest lap of the race still belongs to Sergio Perez. And Sergio Perez, 5 podium finishes in the first 8 races of this year. He's only scored 1 podium finish in his last 6. This would be a good time to climb back on to the podium, especially if it was on the top step. Max Verstappen was talking about the end plate for Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen's now been shown the black and orange flag. That is for a mandatory pit stop to fix damage on the car. So race control do not want to see that break loose, and he has been called to the pits. Still, the current champion for Red Bull chases a former champion for Red Bull in Sebastian Vettel's final ever Singapore Grand Prix. Right on board with him, currently in 8th position. Aston Martin driver who beat Charles Leclerc to victory here for what is his last Grand Prix. Got a yellow flag in Sector 1. And we've got Latifi going slowly coming out of turn 5. We've got Russell also rejoining the racetrack. Joe Guan Yu is off the road as well. Latifi was in close proximity there according to the driver tracker. I think it is down on the exit of 5. It is. And there is Nicholas Latifi. The yellow flag remains out. You can see a puncher on the left.
They have made contact for sure. A little bit of a real estate battle into turn 3, and let's just hope that rear tyre does stay on that rim, on that wheel. There is wishbone damage to the back left of that car. Long way to go to finish the lap. Interestingly, the top 4 now, as we look at Alfa Romeo driver extracting himself from that car. Hopefully it's in not a bad position. Are we going to have a virtual safety car? Nothing will happen. I don't think anyone will react to this if it does happen, because the tyres are settling in now. The conditions are very stable. That's his family there watching on. He's nervous about obviously the result tonight, which hasn't gone his way, but the top 4 before that happened actually were starting to do very similar times. It was Carlos and Hamilton. Here we go. So is Guan Yu Zhou the attacker here? He's going to try and do the move around the outside. Good drive out of here. Latifi comes back on him and just yeah, didn't really give him a huge amount of room there.
The guy just fully squeezed me into the wall, guys. I don't know what is he doing.
Copy, John, I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, looking at that, because they've taken very different lines on the exit of 3. There's quite a big difference in terms of where they position on track. Maybe Latifi didn't see him.
I didn't see. I have a puncture.
Yes, that seems to be the case. Like I say, they're different lines, and must have meant that Nicholas Latifi could not see him in the mirrors there. But yeah, that is an unfortunate incident to take them both out of contention for a good race result here.
So Magnussen interchanged the damaged front wing. Back out there. Very easy to go over the white line here in wet conditions, but he's negotiated it nicely. If you go over all the way, you can get a penalty. Rosberg did that a long time ago. Safety car is out. So the safety car has been deployed. We didn't get a virtual. Now we've got a full. And so we've gone straight to the full safety car. We still have a car to be cleared on the exit of turn 5.
Bizarre.
But the leaders did go past. There's the safety car. Bermeilander being called into action. continues the run of always having a safety car here. The leaders did go past the yellow flag zone. The entire field went past the yellow flag zone before we had a full safety car. And in comes Nicholas Latifi. He's trundled back, and they will assess the damage to his Williams.
Looking at where Guan Yu Zhou actually parked the car, it didn't seem like that was in a particularly dangerous situation. It was quite far down the escape road. I'm wondering if that's well, hopefully it's going to be a swift recovery of getting him out of there. And this gives obviously the Williams team the chance to...
He's damaged. He's out of the race. That left rear is toast.
Yeah,
Do not
you can
release
see
that
the
car
mechanics there.
Yeah, look, they're gone. Yeah, they're done. It's all over Red Rover.
So Nicholas Latifi joins the driver that he made contact with, Zhou Guanyu, as a retirement. They're the only two so far on lap 9 of 61. The full safety car is out. Strategic options for everyone. It's not the most abrasive surface. Even the used Inters, they were reporting after qualifying, Pirelli was saying the used Inters looked pretty good. So they're moving offline to cool those tyres. So they're definitely worried about temperature, if not degradation. Everyone on that intermediate tyre, worth reminding you, as Bermeilander picks up Sergio Perez. And you do save about 10 seconds if you pit in these circumstances. Alex Albon has not yet caught the back of the pack, neither has George Russell, and the safety car is ending. So that's how big the field spread has been. Perez now having to worry about the temperatures, to worry about dictating the pace. And everyone basically parked up on the exit as we go over the Singapore River here and cross it from the Anderson Bridge and then back the way they came for the opportunity of turn 13 down there on the brakes, 13 into 14 you're looking at now, and then it's single file territory. We're about to come back towards the marina, the grandstand here. They will disappear underneath around this 3.1 mile circuit. We're on board with the race leader now dictating the pace. Because it's such a tight final sector, you've got to leave a long time for the safety car to get back in the pits.
Yep, here's Lewis.
Max haven't gone out yet, and he's explored a big gap.
Okay, so he's worried about Sergio controlling the pace too early on this restart. Anyway, the stewards will control the decision on that one. But anyway, Sergio's gone. And have a look at the spread already. People coming out of turn 20. That's the tricky thing. The anticipation, you can't see that far ahead if you're further back down the field. So it's I know you can't pass before the start-finish line, but look at the spread of this field. Anyway, Sergio's on his way. Can Leclerc put some pressure on him early on this restart? And can this man here on screen start to make some more progress through the field?
Great restart for Sergio Perez in the opening couple of corners. Max Verstappen again trying that line, the line that caught out Zhou Guanyu. Darts from the outside to the inside. Did he make it through? Look in the background. Did he make it through? He did. And he managed to move up to 8th position. So Max Verstappen gets past Sebastian Vettel. He's not struggling to fire up his tyres. Having had a tough start, he's back to where he left the line. Pretty slowly, in fairness. But he's now recovered to where he started the Grand Prix.
That's the Max we know. Very opportunistic. On a restart, bang. On a guy that used to own this venue, Sebastian Vettel. He was a guy that I was driving Formula 2, I think, and he was in Formula 1. I couldn't stay with him. He was down the road. He's won here so many times. So here we are on board with Max, down to turn 10, in behind his sister team, if you like, with Mr. Gasly in front of him. 11, 12, very delicate through here. Watching, look, he's cutting some of those curves. He's also doing that later in the lap as well. Inside.
Oh,
yep.
On board to the inside. Tidy pass. And through he goes. As Gasly was never going to fight him too hard being
no.
in the junior team. Even though Gasly, we suspect, is going to depart the Italian squad AlphaTauri and move to Alpine. Expecting news on that in the coming week. But giving him room at that point has given an opportunity to Vettel. Vettel, having been passed in an opportunistic fashion by Verstappen, trying to do the same thing to the French driver Gasly. They're through there. You can see how wet it is offline, just there, and laid on the brakes to the apex. 1st and 7th position for Max Verstappen. Tyre management always plays a part in the dry here. Drivers might be considering, they might be running to a prescribed time as well. It's so much more precarious than a traditional racetrack because look at all the white lines left and right. That's high grip paint. That's FIA paint. Everything else is normal stuff that you get on a public road, and it's slippery and it's precarious and it can end your race quick as a flash. And you're looking at Max Verstappen on board the left-hand side of your picture. You're looking at his teammate leading the Grand Prix, trying to win a race for just the second time this year. The only other time that he triumphed, where he was also using an intermediate tyre, also being chased by a Ferrari back in Monaco. And he's held the lead really well, really accomplished stuff for a master of tyre preservation, it's worth saying as well. That's how Sergio Perez made his name. That's how he got into Red Bull in the first place.
Fascinating. George Russell as well. Here's Carlos on the radio.
Try to take wet patches to cool the tires down if you can.
Yeah, it's impressive to watch. Now, these guys know they're trying to get this tyre. They would not be doing this if a pit stop was around the corner. They've got a long way to go now, so it's doing their absolute heads in. That they've had enough of these tyres, but they have to keep them on because the conditions are not letting them take a stop now, of course. But I'm just fascinated with the Russells of this world. Max to a degree, with he's been behind Fernando for a long while now. They're really, really quick guys. They're not making the progress we'd expect, particularly George, so it's very hard to follow here. One line, and you can't really, dive down the inside and create some sort of pressure. Here's Lando.
Yeah, Lando, so the goal is to make these inters last longer than everyone else's.
That's Will Joseph on the radio, the engineer for Lando Norris, and playing his part as a pundit as well by spelling it out for us.
Yeah, I would have tried to do that a different way though, to stretch, like just something, plan, whatever it is, but plus more. Pretty clear advertisement to what, it's reasonably obvious, but they made it very obvious that that's what they want Lando to do. But anyway, I'm sure they've got their method in their madness. As Max Verstappen, again, no traction out of there. Again, wheel spin, 2 big chunks of wheel spin. So Fernando pulls away in that section. It's been a weak corner for Max, that right-hander in qualifying.
Okay, race leader is Sergio Perez. He's just reported that he's wearing the right front out, and that is a driver who has been phenomenal at looking after tyres his entire career. Let's dig into that a little bit further, guys. Looking after the intermediate tyre, what skills are the drivers employing to do that?
Well, I think it's throttle control, making sure you don't get too much wheel spin, too much slip, and also on these high-speed corners, here's Lando again.
Tires becoming more slick, grippy in the dry areas, becoming more and more slippery in the wet areas. So.
Yes. So the nightmare gets bigger for these drivers because, as we predicted, the intermediate is losing its gauge, so losing its tread, its fine pattern that it has on it, even though it's a shallow gauge, to get rid of fine moisture, which was perfect for the start of the race. But right now, it's now getting dry in sections, which is, the drivers will like that, but in the wet sections, the intermediate doesn't like it. Like there, look at that, that's dry, beautiful. Drivers will like that there, with the other stuff that Lando is frustrated with. So, back to your point, Alex, slip, making sure you're not over-slipping the tyre in the high-speed stuff, which is the last corners, through here, for example, another right-hander. And there's Charles, trying to keep the heat on Sergio, but it's still physics at the end of the day. They've got to still try and do some sort of lap time. They can't back off too much and lose too much track position. So it's a really fine balancing act right now. And I think the drivers won't be that impressed with these tyres either. These inters, in terms of what they're not really, either wear out and jump in and grab another set and keep going. The grip level looks very low.
apart from 6 now.
Okay, copy that.
What are your thoughts on conditions, Max?
Still too wet. Massive lag on the upturn.
Understood.
It's dry line because I cannot see any on the car.
So at the moment they're slowly appearing, but not very clear from our side either.
Yeah, it can take a while for the slick, to be honest.
Yeah, copy that.
I think the mechanics are getting bored. They're just moving tyres around like I do at home with my DIY, just showing the wife I'm busy.
It's been one of those days at Marina Bay. We waited 65 minutes longer to start this race. We went straight to the intermediate tyres, but the track is static. We're still at least 5, maybe 6 seconds away from someone with nothing to lose trying the slick tyre and showing everyone out front who has a lot to lose whether it's the right thing to do. Lewis Hamilton trying to climb on the podium once again, having scored his first top 3 start of the year. He is a 4-time Singapore Grand Prix winner. The 6 podium finishes for him this year, the fewest of any drivers in the big 3 teams. That's Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, the gap to him in Sainz about a second, and that's the closest out of the top 4 there. The top 2 have made a massive break on Sainz.
Alonso might be the reason we've had drama out on track. Alonso is the car off the road, bringing out the yellow flag, and Fernando Alonso has gone off.
Engine.
Copy.
Engine problem.
It expires for Fernando Alonso, his chance of big points. That is crucial in the constructors' battle for Alpine and McLaren. Their leading driver in the Grand Prix is out. The yellow flag is out in Sector 2. The virtual safety car is deployed. Max Verstappen up to 6th, Gasly up to 7th, Vettel, then Stroll. The points completed by Daniel Ricciardo. And the drivers, no one has made a stop yet, a deliberate stop yet. The only stops for a driver still running in the Grand Prix, Magnussen to fix damage to the car. That is the end of Fernando Alonso's day after a strong qualifying and expiry in the Grand Prix.
He has driven brilliantly all weekend, and that is not a fair reflection of his own performance this weekend. Unfortunately, the engine has let go. In his admission, anyway, he believes it is an engine failure. Yuki Tsunoda replayed. Does he run wide or track? Oh, he loses. Oh, son, keep it out of that yellow stuff. Oh, he's got a problem. Anti-stall. Here we go. Clutch. Anti-stall. He's right now.
That's so strange. We had 2 incidents at the same time earlier on. We had the same thing again. Russell is in under the virtual safety car to take the benefit of stopping, and he's going to save about 10 seconds with doing this. The downside for him, he's gone very early.
I'm wondering whether he's going to gamble here. Is he thinking about slick tyres, or is that another set of inters?
This would be some gamble.
It
is some gamble. Wow, this is going to be super tricky now for George Russell.
Yeah, especially because of the following. He has to drive slowly with the virtual safety car on track, so the tyre temp now is at its hottest. It's going to lose temperature now, and as he continues to run around, look at him trying to get out of the pit lane here. They're brand new as well, so they've got the film of sort of release agent on them. So let's just see how this turns out for the young Russell. And I tell you what, he's trying, but you've got to keep up it. He cannot back off. He has to keep pushing this car now, because if he really takes it easy, they're going to plummet on temperature on him.
Yeah, Max. So Russell has just pitted for a medium tyre. Obviously won't know anything until it gets going.
Yeah, that's brave at the moment.
Yep, absolutely. He's got nothing to lose.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. So he has nothing to lose, but we're a long way. So in qualifying yesterday, if you weren't with us, the Aston Martins gambled on slick tyres, and they did 154s, and they were struggling. George Russell is they're still running at the front. Race leader did a 1:58. They're miles away, and Russell is doing a glacial pace, trying to fire up those tyres, trying to give himself a chance to exploit the slick rubber. They're under the virtual safety car at the moment. If he keeps this pointing in the right direction, it will be hugely impressive.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is more a call for Lewis Hamilton than it is for George Russell. Just looking at the nature of this race, how George, looking to see him at the oversteer coming out of free there, but I'm wondering if this is Mercedes. They know this is an opportunity for Lewis Hamilton to score big points.
No grip. Is it spitting?
Negative, must be Prix.
Max Verstappen has caught Lando Norris very quickly, and now he's having to run to Norris's pace. 0.6 of a second away. No DRS given the conditions. Now 3 seconds. Perez is striding clear here. Fastest lap of the race again. Yellow flag is out in sector 2. And is that Alex Albon? Yes, it is. Alex Albon has gone off.
Reverse. Has he
Can
got
he
it?
find it?
Okay, they're going to have to get that front wing out of the wall there,
Yep.
which is not a big deal.
He's fired it up. The driver, it's remarkable, he's even racing here after having his appendix out and respiratory failure after that operation. But not an easy day for the Williams team. And there is a front wing in the middle part of the racetrack.
And a front left puncher.
Yes.
Front left puncher. So that'll need to be changed. And as the Williams crew get ready, will there be another virtual safety car for that front wing that's stuffed in the concrete barrier there? That'll give people a headache because the slick is not a million miles away. It's still a bit early, but it could be tempting, but I think still brave, and Russell's the indicator on that. As you know, watch this, comes in, locks up, runs wide, straight ahead. This will be slow motion. That's like Tesco's car park. Is someone coming in on the CCTV, isn't it? Like a slow motion, frustrating crash for him. Just makes it look so poor. You know, it's so easy to look clumsy in these conditions. And look, it's quite fascinating. It's similar to George Russell. Like, you know, is it a Mercedes? Who's that?
Virtual safety.
Okay, well, this would be interesting.
Okay, so virtual safety car is out. By the way, Alex Albon complaining about the brakes in the laps before that happened as well.
That makes sense, yes. And it's almost like these engines are running on. They're giving torque, like George Russell's had that issue. It looks like Alex had an issue there as well. That makes looks to the drivers like it's their fault, but obviously it looks like there's a mechanical in the background. But ultimately, this should be quite quick. If it's just to recover that wing, this would be interesting if anyone does take this. Let's have a look. They're coming to the crucial point now, pit entry. Is anyone going to blink? I think they will. I think Russell has not done enough on that tyre. It's still too nerve-wracking. No, they haven't. They have not taken this. It's not surprising.
Just looking at the driver tracker, there is a big window now as Magnussen's just gone through turn 8 for them to try and recover that front wing. So I'm expecting that they should be able to recover that out the barrier now, and then we'll be getting back to green flag and racing very soon.
Those change down there for the Williams team.
Just to increase his confidence, they're putting a slick on.
So both Williams out of the race. Nicholas Latifi after contact with Zhou Guanyu, and Alex Albon after a reported brake problem and then eventual trip to the wall. Virtual safety car is ending whilst this is going on in the pit lane. It's ending and it's wedged in the wall, so the track should not be clear. Where have we got driver tracker? Yeah, and then we've got cars coming on the circuit, so they withdrew that a little bit too soon, considering there were cars appearing. And the green flag is out. Virtual safety car is gone.
Wow.
That was a little bit too soon.
I think if that vision was correct with those marshals, I think Sergio actually went past green, past those guys.
Yeah. And the whole point of the virtual safety car, if you don't watch every week, if you're not certain, to make sure that that never happens.
Max Verstappen, when you see his car control in these conditions,
Just losing so much time behind this guy. It's really slow.
here Lewis on the radio complaining about Carlos Sainz.
Not the
pace.
greatest review for Carlos's race.
In comparison to his teammate, he has dropped off 15 seconds. Sainz is behind Leclerc now, so that is a comparison between similar, like the drivers in the same car, similar conditions. So yeah, at the minute he is struggling out there.
And compared to what we've seen him do in mixed conditions before, completely unlike Carlos Sainz. who struggled with the Ferrari that he had underneath him until about the Canadian Grand Prix. Ocon off.
They are struggling to keep the car on the road. They will come in, yes, but I'm 5 seconds off the pace.
Okay.
So he's kept it going. French driver trying to make sure that both Alpines do not retire
Turn 13.
from the race, but has he got any drive in the car? It looks like a similar issue.
That thing is certainly hot. George Russell on the radio there as we just take our attention from Ocon for a second. George Russell mentioning that he's got no grip and he's praying for these tyres to come in, but they aren't yet. So I think this car's rolling back downhill because of the slight camber of the road there. He's not in gear.
Yeah.
Well, failure, guys. Yeah, sorry guys, that was 3 laps, there was a weird sound, but...
Okay, so he's out of the GP. Look at the bottom end, look at the oil.
There
That
you
is
go.
actually pretty decent failure. You can see they've got the motion lotion should be in the engine, but it's on the floor.
It's your best sentence so far in this Grand Prix. Yellow flag is out. It's not the full virtual safety car yet, but it might need to be on the exit of the hairpin there. Both Alpines out of the Grand Prix. Unusual to see 2 retirements in a row for Fernando Alonso. This is how Esteban Ocon exited the Singapore race.
You heard him on the radio saying about the funny noise, and then just going into 13. Very similar sounding problem to what Fernando Alonso experienced, just losing all drive completely.
Virtual safety car is out there again, and this time the outcome might be different. It's intermediates in the pit lane. Might this be for Sainz, who has been struggling? And back they go.
Yeah. No, I think that was I was nervous. It's either don't pit, or if you're going to pit, what are they going to do here? Are they going to... it's Carlos. It is for Carlos. They're going to bolt a set another... No, they're
Gone
not.
round again.
I was going to say,
Gone round.
that is absolutely mental to put a fresh set of inters on now. They would tear up in no time because they're too thick. The tread would be too thick on a brand new set. This is a good set of inters now because they're worn down and they're got that right gauge about them to sort of have the right level of grip at this point in the Grand Prix, not tear up. But Russell is still the big part of the jigsaw here for everyone. Can that slick tyre get ready? And this is not helping the information, because when you have a virtual safety car, it's resetting the tyre. It's cooling down. All of Russell's hard work has been undone because the intensity in the lap times and grip has been dropped. And there's young Esteban. To be fair, he had a good weekend up until quali. He had brake problems in qualifying, and there's the whatever you want. What do you want to call that, Alex?
Expiry
Yeah.
of the Alpine, I think we'll go for.
Yep.
Failure for both cars, and the French driver out of the car.
virtual safety cars ending.
Oh, Verstappen very nearly straight into the back of Lando Norris. He's locked up. And Max Verstappen very nearly ripping a wheel off as the green flag came out. He was going at a completely different speed to Lando Norris, and he's lucky to avoid contact there. That was nearly a huge accident.
Yeah, well, guess what? I missed it. I was watching these two on the big screen.
Well, definitely. That's why we have 3 people in the comp box. We'll definitely get a replay of that, because that was millimetres from the end of Norris and Verstappen's race. We're half distance. Let's have a look at this. This is on board with Max Verstappen. He knows that the virtual safety car is going to be withdrawn. Here we go. It's all fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. Wait for this.
What the hell?
Wowza.
That was weird.
That was super close.
It was very dangerous.
Okay. I don't.
Was Max Verstappen preempting that to go
100%.
green?
100%. That's what he's trying to do.
Trying to build a bit of momentum in the car so that when it does go green, he can make that opportunity count.
Russell still struggling.
Is he improving ahead? Is getting any better?
Russell certainly not quick.
new regulations haven't worked on the Inters tonight, have they? It's been quite hard for these guys to get any moves done on track. The degradation is very flat. The tyres aren't wearing too aggressively, so that makes it challenging for opportunities and I suppose discrepancies to open up between teams on tyre wear between two different teams or driver styles. So yeah, the way they're generating the lap times here tonight, it's all very even amongst the teams, and there's
Hamilton! Lewis Hamilton off the road and into the barrier. Another dramatic moment. It's at turn 7 where he's gone deep, but he's kept the car going. His chances of pressuring Carlos Sainz have gone. Can he stay ahead now of Norris and Verstappen? There they are. There they are as he rejoins. Norris gets ahead. Hamilton and Verstappen close together once again. Hamilton trying to re-establish himself, having seen a chance of another podium this year.
He'll have no tyre temp. He'll have no tyre temp sitting there for 10 or 12 seconds, did he or not? He had, what's that front wing looking like as well? Oh, it's looking average. The front wing is looking average. That front left wing, front wing.
It's very similar to what Magnussen got the black and orange flag for.
It is worse. So Hamilton will have to pit. Russell's tyres now, as Billy pointed out, Russell has now gone purple, so it's slicks.
Red Bull.
It's slicks. You've got to put slicks on now. Hamilton will pit this lap, put slicks on, as will Ferrari. Russell has now told everyone the race has changed.
Of all the moments to make a mistake, even Hamilton's errors are well timed. So the call coming that Russell on the slick tyres, having had a terrible time bit lap after lap after lap, suddenly on lap 11 on these medium tyres has got the fastest pace on the racetrack. The bad news for him is he's a lap down. He's told everyone else though that there's an opportunity. Remember the pain that he had to go through lap after lap after lap, generating the tyre temperature. It's not as simple as come in, bolt on the slick tyres and gain so much time. It will vary from car to car.
The hand plate is completely loose, mate. Like Magnus said, it's dangerous, it's going to fly off.
Hamilton defending into turn 1.
Something is loose. Max is complaining about the head. Was it the headrest or something? I didn't quite get.
He's trying. Is he going to try his line? He's not.
He's going to give this plenty of respect because this front wing could go anywhere. Lewis could go anywhere. He's worried. He's not going to get too involved, I think. If it's easy, I think you'll nail him. But if he's not going to do any 50, look at the front wing end plate now. It's sparking. Could fly off on the straight here.
Gasly's going to gamble. Gasly's coming for to the pits for slicks.
The front wing is going to fall off.
That's right. Verstappen is worried about Lewis's front wing.
You can see White hanging loose there. And all the while, this is giving a useful gap. Not for Norris, who's now up to 4th, by the way. Norris is up to 4th position. We'll cover that off. We're getting nothing, then cars off the road, then nothing, then cars off the road. But by far the most dramatic moment in the race so far. Hamilton trying to take 3rd place. He's going to go deep into turn 7.
Yeah, this is all how it happened. He tried to make the corner and he's hit the wall there with some force. We've seen a lot of people go down the escape road, but Lewis committed to making the corner early whilst he had that lock-up, and he's just sent himself straight into the barrier there. And he did well to get it out and stay in front of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, really.
Okay, in comes Charles Leclerc. Not rapid with the pit stop, but it'll do. It'll work.
Slow.
5.3. And still Verstappen knows that he can't afford a risky move. Perez continues to lead. It's now Sainz up to 2nd, but tyre warm-up is crucial. It's crucial here. The best at warming up the tyres on the intermediates was the Red Bull. Verstappen carries on. He hasn't gone early. He will try and attack on the intermediate tyre. And here is Hamilton to change the front wing, to change his intermediate tyres as well. If ever you were going to make a mistake that big, it's pretty well timed because we've reached the pit stop window in the race. Fastest car at the moment is 1 lap down. It's George Russell.
Wow. So Hamilton, this would be a long stop, obviously, with a nose change. I'm fascinated to see Gasly's the next one now, who's top 10, of course. He's not right at the front of the field, but he's the one that's gone for a slick as well. That's a great stop there from Aston Martin. That was, plenty of mustard on that one. That was quick. Well done to those guys.
Okay, so that's Vettel coming out of the pits, and Hamilton, you can see, coming out behind a car he was ahead. So Hamilton down to 9th position on exit, with Perez, Sainz, Norris, Verstappen, Stroll and Ricciardo not gambling on the tyres. So each car will take a different amount of time to warm up the tyres. This is still super precarious for everyone who has switched to the slick tyre.
Oh, long. That's why the stop was slow. The stop was slow because Charles went very long in the box by at least sort of, I don't know, rough guess, 40 centimetres long. So all of the crew had to go out of position to service the car, which ultimately cost him at least 2.5 seconds.
In comes the race leader all the way through. He has been at the front, and that long pit stop might have cost Charles Leclerc, who will be trying to warm the tyres up. Remember, when Perez comes out, he will still have to go through the warm-up phase as well. Sainz has been called to the pits. Crucial junction in the destiny of who's picking up the biggest trophy today. As you see on board, Leclerc making it dance all over the road, searching for that elusive tyre temperature.
Just looking at these warm-up laps from the guys that have put on the slick tyres, Gasly in the middle sector was in the high 47s, Leclerc on his outlap in the mid 46s, so he is really pushing and finding grip on these tyres straight from the off.
Box opposite Norris.
So Sainz has come into the pits. Norris Verstappen has been told to do the opposite to Norris, who has carried on, and it's Perez who has track position and then some over Leclerc at the moment. It's looking very, very good for him. And have we got Yuki Tsunoda bringing out that yellow flag? We have got Yuki Tsunoda in the tyre barrier, and now if you've not made your stop, you've got a huge opportunity now to make it under what is going to be a minimum of a virtual safety car and save yourself 10 seconds.
Switch off, engine off.
We've lost Joe, Latifi, Alonso, Albon, Ocon, and now, in this moment, Yuki Tsunoda hitting the wall hard on that medium slick tyre.
Sorry about that, guys. Get out big time, man.
No, don't sweat it, Lewis. You're still in it, mate.
need to repair the barriers at turn 10.
So red flag.
No, we believe it will be a longer safety car.
I'm sorry.
Okay, respect the distance with the safety car.
Okay, crucial moment of the race. We've had the pit stop phase. They are now on slick tyres. We have 35 minutes. And can I interest you in some actual racing? Because we've been running to time for a lot of the race. They've been running to extend the intermediate tyres, and they have no worries about tyre life now. We're going to see some laps of the limit around Marina Bay.
Can you check the right rear temperature with the brake? I see a tear of it hanging in there.
Yep, understood. All okay for the moment, Max.
Well, that issue affected Charles Leclerc in the Belgian Grand Prix. Had to stop. Ruined his race that day. And Verstappen can see that out of the mirrors. The safety car has gone. We're racing again around the 3.1 miles. Is it going to be different for tyre warm-up on the slicks compared to the inters? You can see how aggressively the Mexican driver in the lead is taking it. We are honestly racing. It is not a formation lap, but the premium, the reason that you might be able to improve your position is all about tyre temperature on this restart lap.
Yeah, Verstappen looking comfortable again on traction out of 3. No, he hasn't quite got the move done, but he is going to be extremely fruity on this restart in terms of his levels of aggressiveness. He's got a narrow line too to deal with down in 7. What's he going to do here? This will be brave if he has a poke out here on the inside.
He's going to go for it. He's off. He's off. He's deep, and Verstappen risked it. It did not pay off the road to plummet down the order.
That is so strange of Max. We've used to see that seasons gone by. It's so greasy offline. He knew it was going to be slick there. The tyres are so cold on the restart. So yeah, that is really uncharacteristic. And he's back with Lewis. So the two big boys at turn 7 has been their nemesis tonight, and Lewis is putting pressure on him on the run to 10 now.
Hello, old friend. Time to go wheel to wheel once again. We've got the Wall of Champions in Canada. We're going to have to give a new nickname to turn 7. Verstappen deep there. Hamilton deep there. Errors from the best in the world in an extraordinary race. It's 0.3 of a second between Leclerc and Perez. Remember what we saw on the intermediate tyre? Perez disappeared. It's a different story, although he's put a good medium, middle, I should say, sector of the lap in.
No, I need the pit.
Copy.
Oh, flat spots. He's got huge flat spots, so the high-speed lock-up for him is... You can't see the circuit now. Watch this. I thought this was extremely risky on the damp stuff down the inside. Look at this. And there's the problem. There's the problem. Two huge lockups at high speed. He's doing 170 mile an hour there. Oh, that one there is going to, they're going to be a 50p coin now.
I completely bottomed out.
And George Russell, this race is coming alive now.
No.
He's got a puncher there.
He's hit the wall, right rear. He must have tagged the wall somewhere. Is he going to try and get this car back? I think he will, but my God, he's got 90% of the circuit, 85% of the circuit still to run.
Here we go to turn one. It's Schumacher, it's Russell, it's contact, and it's a puncher for the British driver.
Nothing. Contact was so light. I think they...
What the hell happened there? Okay, plenty of space.
Yeah, he'll struggle to understand that one. He thought it was enough room, but actually I think that they sort of just converged on each other at a tricky time.
I'm having issue with it. They don't really go the engine. Under braking or traction?
Perez is one lock-up away from seeing just a 4th Grand Prix victory slip through his fingers. The incident involving Russell and Schumacher has been investigated. No further investigation, no update on the safety car infringement that we were told about. They haven't turned it into a full investigation. We're letting them fight for victory as Verstappen sets another fastest lap of the race, and there's so many minor corrections being made all the way through. This is fantastic to watch.
Yep, he's on nearly a qualifying lap in a race. Leclerc is constantly soaring away at the wheel, trying to find a way to just hang on to the back of this Red Bull and create as much pressure as he can in the DRS zones, and he has.
There it is, there's the lock-up, and he's managed it.
Recovered it.
It was more extreme than Leclerc had a couple of laps ago, but we all took a step back at that moment because it was nearly the end of the lead. The driver who's managed it all the way through.
Oh, yeah. That was heart in the mouth stuff right there, wow.
And I tell you what, Charles Leclerc would have went, oh, beautiful. I like the look of that. Sergio, give me another one, please. Give me another one when you're ready.
So we've got 21 minutes of this. Amazing to see. Leclerc is just almost every corner on the brink of having a snap that takes him into the wall and out of the race, and all the while this is some pressure that he is heaping on the Red Bull ahead. Sergio Perez is in that team to win on days like today when it's not gone to plan for Max Verstappen. If you're going to be a number 2 driver that can be relied on, he wouldn't like to hear those terms, but you've got to win on days like today. That's what the team look for. Brilliant defence when it's required, sometimes up against other rivals, but for him as well. Another street track, another opportunity. He was on pole in Jeddah. He just missed out on that. He took victory at a street track in Monaco earlier in the year for surely his finest day in Formula One. Can he withstand the pressure as Verstappen tries to improve up to 11th place?
Looking at the rest of the points runners, Lance Stroll in 6th seems to be the cork in the bottle for the rest of the top 10. Vettel, Hamilton, Gasly all closing right down to the back of him. Stroll on that last lap was a good few seconds slower than the leader, so he's struggling for pace out there.
Sainz is still able to respond in the margin that he needs to, and you just see Leclerc trying to hang on, losing a little bit of momentum. If he loses much more, it's going to be outside of DRS. There's another lock-up, 1 lap on at the same corner, and still he gets away with it. The top 2, last 3 laps have all locked up at that corner.
Insane, incredible.
Wild stuff from both of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you know, one of my heroes as a young lad, well, I had loads of them when I was watching F1, but Jean Alesi comes to mind. When I watch Leclerc every now and again, he's just so, you know, as a flamboyant, he wants to get amongst it. He backs himself on the car control. Watch him out of here. On the previous laps, he's had some little twitchy moments, and he's very quick through the last 2 corners. And watch this through here. Boom, boom. A lot of confidence through there. DRS open again along here. Look at this. This is tight again. No room into turn 1, though. He's just creating again this pressure. Now, Perez will be focusing on that stop in turn 14 next time he goes round there. Can he adjust his brake balance? Can they give him some ideas to get him more comfortable on the brakes there? Because I don't think there's a slam dunk move there for Charles on the brakes. It's going to be hard to get down the inside, but what would be a slam dunk move if Perez goes straight ahead in the escape road, and that's what he does not want to do. He has to make sure he hits every single apex. Pull the brake and point back just a sniff. Let Charles have to do the move down the inside. Do not give him a free pass by going down an escape road.
It's fine margins to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Perez has never done so around here. Leclerc has never done so around here. The drivers that have been those at the very top of Formula One. Their first opportunity to win this race. Both of these drivers would have expected potentially more victories this year. Certainly Charles Leclerc, considering he's taken 9 pole positions this year. The last time he won a race, Austrian Grand Prix, back in July, the one after Silverstone. Since then, maybe he was believing that he was going to be a title contender all the way to the end as they go through the corner that Perez has been struggling with lap after lap. But since then, it's been 5 Grand Prix victory in a row for Max Verstappen. Verstappen's confidence. Oh, wide moment there for Leclerc. That's how easy it is to go deep. And he will lose, you'd imagine, lose DRS with that mistake, and he's going to have to close the gap all over again.
Yep, and just give Sergio a little bit of a respite in the last sector there, so he can just take it a bit easier now. Not much, but just a sniff easy. Here's this moment here. Watch this on the brakes. Just gets a bit wide there. It's damp. Look at that again, the shiny moisture on the... And this is... no big deal. Ed's on the power. He has a little moment there, just there. Nothing, not a big deal there. But yeah, they're both pushing each other as hard as possible. And I'll tell you what, they are going to be so tight.
He's defending like it's a race of his life. Crikey.
Ferrari P8.
That was very hard to drive today, mate. Measure it.
Here's Charles on the radio.
And we need to stay within 5 seconds from Perez. He may have a penalty at the end of the race. Safety car infringement for him, for Perez.
Okay, so Ferrari are teeing up the stewards already. Minimum, he's going to get that. Maybe more, who knows, but or nothing, we don't know. Another mistake
again. Same part of the circuit. So he's struggling at that specific corner, coming in to 16. 2 moments in the last 3 laps for Charles Leclerc.
They were under investigation for safety car infringement.
For what?
Safety car infringement. Investigation after the race. Let's disappear.
Well, if he gets over 5 seconds, that could make life very, very useful.
Just when Sergio Perez thought he had a bit of calm to deal with, he had opened up a 2.5 second gap. The engineer comes on the radio and says, actually, we could do with 5, Sergio, so just get your foot down a bit, like he's not already going for it already.
Yeah, I think he's. It would be interesting the next 2 laps to see if he did have a bit in margin here, Billy. Wanted to see if he can put a bit of heat on Ferrari and get it out over 5 seconds, because we're about to see another mistake from Charles Leclerc in the same corner. This time he does run even wider, I believe. Looking at the... Oh, that time he had to catch the rear, which I tell you what, he comes in the shot here, catching this thing, collecting it up, and that is, again, another moment for him. It's been a tricky weekend, tricky corner all weekend for the big dogs into there. They have struggled.
Seven minutes plus a lap to go. There's 3.2 seconds on track between Perez and Leclerc. They're both pushing each other, all not nose to tail after Leclerc's couple of errors on the laps as he tried to find a way by. Couple of lockups where Sergio Perez was but millimetres away from wiping himself out of the Grand Prix. He will go and argue, potentially, with the stewards. He might not have to. They might decide that there's no case to answer, and all he can do is take care of things on track at the moment. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix is going to help that. 0.2 of a second faster. You can see Max Verstappen, who roared up to the back of Lewis Hamilton, is now stuck.
Yeah, and the guy in front of him is not short of experience, so he knows what to do in terms of rebuffing that pressure. But these two are out of position. I mean, stuck in behind the Astons, can't do much about it. On a normal circuit like Silverstone or somewhere where it's wide open and flowing and you can be more creative and have an opportunity to manipulate some moves and manufacture some pressure. But tonight is a very different matter altogether. As they cut the beam again, we have 5 minutes, 5:54 to run for Sergio Perez. And he's just, it's a bit of a stalemate there. 3 seconds is the gap, so I think that's everything he's got. That's everything both of them have got. So if there is a penalty looming, as though we don't know what that is, but I'm still a bit nervous on that Red Bull pit wall. They might lose his victory tonight if there is some sort of penalty for Sergio's behaviour behind the safety car. I think he's harsh, but anyway, that's the rules, and they might have to give him a bit of a whip for that one, but we'll see how it turns out.
Okay, Perez on for his 4th Grand Prix victory. Charles Leclerc going through the infuriating experience once again of having taken pole and not looking like he's going to convert it unless there's the penalty coming Perez's way. Sainz will join his teammate on the podium. Exemplary drive from Lando Norris, who is miles clear of his teammate. Having had that safety car restart, he's built a huge gap. Put the pressure on Sainz, but has dropped back, so that's going to be a strong result for McLaren in general. It will be Daniel Ricciardo's best result of the season. The same sentence applies to Lance Stroll in 7th place, and then you have the battle of the champions. Vettel, Hamilton and Verstappen nose to tail. Verstappen with all the pace in the world. By the way, he was going 0.3 of a second faster than Perez was out front. But that mistake costing him dearly. He might still have had a sniff of victory without that error.
Just a few world championships between them three. About 12 I've calculated. Yeah, they've got a wealth of experience in Formula One and they've been at the top, and now they are battling it out with just a few minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, 12 world titles. That's extraordinary, isn't it? They're all together. Any other world champions, Alex? Is that them? You beat me to it. They all together, aren't they? Fernando's out.
Fernando's out.
Yep.
They're all together. All together on the circuit. And Perez getting closer. At one point, I wondered if we were going to rival the closest ever finish around this circuit. Less than 0.3 of a second back in 2010 between Alonso and Vettel across the line. At one point, it was 0.3 of a second between them. But the management of the tyres has gone Red Bull's way. DRS for Hamilton. DRS for Verstappen. Are we about to see these two go wheel to wheel? Not had the opportunity this year. Statistically, this is Lewis Hamilton's worst season in his entire Formula One career. Every other campaign in the sport, at the highest level of the sport, has featured at least a pole or at least a victory. And at the moment, he has neither. As his teammate, George Russell, takes the fastest lap, but he won't get the bonus point because he's not in the top 10, which is also what happened the last time that we raced around here. It was Kevin Magnussen taking fastest lap. Back in 2019, still the world champions glued together, and it's getting close now to the 5-second margin. Again, remind you that the precedent that we've seen for safety car infringements in the past was more extreme than a 5-second penalty, but if the stewards decide to go for that, the rule book can change. We've seen that across the last few years or so, but Perez was told to disappear. He's done a really good job after those couple of lockups where the race victory was in the balance. He's done a great job to build out that gap, and he must be confident now getting it over the 5 seconds.
I think so. He's nudged another 10th out in the first sector. He's 3/10 clear of Carlos, which obviously there's no indication. He's well down the road there, 16-second lead over him, but just as a reference against the other competitors, so it's a PB for Sergio in the first sector. So he is pushing as hard as he can to get it over 5. It's a risky thing though, because you don't know if you are going to get a penalty. You know, are you pushing for no reason? Is it the right thing to be doing this? I think it is to have some insurance policy, absolutely, but it's a hard thing for a racing driver to be racing against thin air and a gap that you might not really need.
and he's absolutely pushing. That was a personal best through the first sector. So he's still looking for that gap. It's at 4.8 seconds as Vettel feels the need to go defensive. And Hamilton ever closer, looking for the inside. It's slippery to the inside. He's wide to open the door, and that's how hard it is to overtake, as Hamilton had designs on 7th. And in the end, he opened the door to get passed by Verstappen for 8th, and he drops down to 9th place on a day where he would have been dreaming of at least a podium. It's down to 9th for the 7-time world champion.
Yeah, it's always tricky. We could just see there on the inside how damp it is off that racing line. You can see he locked up so early. Lucky not to hit the back of Sebastian Vettel there and just gifted Max Verstappen the place.
There is zero grip on these tyres. Checkered flag this lap, mate. Another lap after this. Checkered flag this lap. Yep, one more. One more
after the clock runs out.
He will run through. After this race will exhaust on time, and then he'll get a... That's why I always had engineers telling me what to do, mate. You're the expert in the commentary box. It's like, Mark, just drive flat out. Just do what you need to do.
Great stuff. There's 6.4 seconds now between Perez and Leclerc, so having tried to keep that gap down, Perez has done the job. The clock hits 2 hours for the Grand Prix. We have one lap at the end of this one, then the checkered flag will come out, and only a mistake behind the safety car can rob Perez of just a 4th career victory and a 1st at Singapore. But we're looking at his teammate, who now knows that you can't stray from the racing line. Little bit of a correction there as Verstappen tries to recover to 7th place. After all the effort, after all the drama of today, he's exactly where he started.
Yeah, that's true, mate. P8, the lights went out, he went back to 12th, and he's gone up and down, and yeah, it has been a tricky weekend for him because they did not put enough fuel in qualifying. If he was on pole, he would have been where his teammate is. Well, you'd imagine he would have been out front like Sergio, normally would be, but that qualifying has really hurt them, and he might give him another tune-up, I think, in the debrief about that, because his whole night has been off the back of a tricky quali.
Been a fascinating contest. We're on lap 58, and we've run, so we're just going to lose a few. We were meant to run 61, and Perez, it was in the balance for so long.
7.3, bring it home, no questions.
That's it. You did the hard job. At one point, it was tenths of a second, it was lockups, it was brinkmanship, it was brilliant, and it was more defence. It was more resolute defence from the Mexican driver, who has George Russell in close proximity, but he is ahead of him, way ahead of him on the racetrack. Russell 2 laps down, but day to forget for him. One Red Bull leading the way. The other one, who's claimed victory in the last 5 Grand Prix, trying to turn it in to 7th position. What a moment for Sergio Perez. His heart would have been in his mouth so many times.
To the line.
So they're telling him to push all the way. They're looking to try and get that up to 10 seconds as Verstappen gets past Sebastian Vettel and moves up to 7th position. So Verstappen recovering and at least gaining 1 place. But round the final corner comes the Mexican driver. Sergio Perez wins the Singapore Grand Prix. And he had fireworks on track, fireworks off track, and a brilliant performance all the way through to lead from the opening meters to withstand the charge of Charles Leclerc, who finishes in 7th. Sainz completes the podium, and only the stewards can take it from him now.
Phenomenal drive. Very, very good drive out front. Leclerc put him under a lot of pressure all night, but you can't take it away from him. He had loads of opportunities to find himself down an escape road, a little landmine here and there, but he did the business. And, you know, everyone that got a result tonight deserved it, because that was a challenging Grand Prix. Well done, Sergio.
7.5 seconds across the line. If it's a 10-second penalty, Leclerc might be promoted to the victory. But what a performance from Sergio Perez, delivering when the opportunity presented itself.
There you go. Winner.
Vamos, Checo. Unbelievable. What a drive. What an incredible drive. Monaco and Singapore. Incredible. Well done, mate.
This is how we do it, man. We shut our mouth and we work hard. This is the Mexican way. Well done, guys.
That is your best ever drive, mate. That was sensational.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Well done, man. What a race. Woohoo! So happy. It's been a while, mate.
It's hot up here. Don't know how it was for you.
So P2, and we don't know what the penalty will be, if there will be a penalty for Perez. Potentially 2 5-second penalty, potentially. You've done a good job.
Yeah, good job.
They had to wait an hour for things to dry out, and then there was a period of time where Leclerc was saying, you want to win this Grand Prix, you better dance for it, you better move faster than me, and he had the skill to animate the car around the lap to victory, and you can tell he's celebrating, but he's weary as well. That took everything.
Yeah, he looked tired celebrating right there.
A big sweaty hug for the mechanics. 11 wins for Max Verstappen this year, now 2 wins this year for Sergio Perez, Monaco and Singapore. Paul di Resta is speaking to the top three after an exhausting and exhilarating Singapore Grand Prix.
Carlos, obviously on the podium today, third, looked a pretty tough race. How was it for you?
Yeah, very tough out there. Never really got into a rhythm in the wet, and then couldn't challenge with the top two guys because I was always struggling a bit more with the rear with the car. So in the end, in these conditions, when you don't have that extra bit of confidence, I had to settle a bit for P3. The good thing is I didn't do any mistakes. I could bring the car home and I could be quick towards the end of the race when I managed to build a bit of confidence. But good result for the team for the Constructors' Championship. A shame that we couldn't get the win.
Like you say, you take it. Were you surprised how long it took to dry? I know yesterday we saw the similar conditions in qualifying, but you would have thought in the race it would have went a bit quicker.
Yeah, it's crazy how long it takes here to dry. I don't know, but we keep doing laps and you keep looking at the track and it doesn't. The dry line never appears in some places and it keeps sliding a lot. But it's definitely something to keep in mind for the future because this track is it's pretty unique on that.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks, mate.
Charles, that's going to be a frustrating afternoon. Obviously lining up in pole position, following Checo the whole race. But you have to say you pushed all the way to the end. It just wasn't quite enough, was it?
Yeah, I pushed all the way. I mean, the bad start puts us on the back foot, and after that it was a really difficult race after that.
What happened at the start? Where did you lose the momentum? Because it looked like you made initially a good start, but then lost out at the second phase.
I had a little bit of wheel spin and lost the performance there.
And physically, how was the race?
Difficult.
Yeah.
Difficult. Now a good night's sleep and we get ready for Japan.
Thank you, Charles.
Just 10 seconds for Perez.
Checo, four-time race winner. I think that has to be up there with your best ever driving Formula One, with the pressure you dealt with Charles all the way through that, to keep the car on the track at the end in those drying conditions.
Yeah, it was certainly, I think, my best performance. I controlled the race, although the warm-up was pretty difficult. The last few laps was so intense. I didn't feel it that much in the car, but when I got out of it, I felt it. You know, I pushed. I gave everything for the win today.
You're under investigation for a safety car infringement. Are you aware of what happened? I know the team told you to make sure you extended the gap, but do you know anything you did wrong?
No, I have no idea what's going on. They just told me that I was under investigation, so increase the gap, and it's what we did.
And obviously keeping the championship alive. Obviously with Max where he finished, you take it into Japan, but momentum on your side.
I think, obviously. I think it's nicer for Max to get it in Japan, and for the team will be very special for Honda. So all in all, a fantastic day.
Enjoy your evening.
Could have been a lot worse.
The problem is who says it. You know what I mean?
You had a really good start, huh?
Very good. You do second? Okay. First. Second.
You.
Second.
You had a good one or not?
A good one, yeah.
I think outside wasn't that bad.
No.
Oh, see you again.
The last 15 laps?
We were pushing. At the beginning, we were pushing like crazy. Then towards the end, I started to degrade myself. I pushed too much.
And when you were pushing me, I think one more lap.
Yeah, he was behind me.
Did you have any moments?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I had one in the penultimate lap.
Where?
12th. Picking up the
What's
throttle.
the... Why?
I didn't feel that hard the race. Only and the safety car, what was doing the safety car?
Yeah,
It was so slow, eh?
Impossible to pass.
They're still standing, but only just, after putting on some display of wet weather and then dry weather. Driving skill. The largest trophy today goes to Sergio Perez, the man they call Checo, celebrating for the 4th time as a winner in Formula One. And the man that you heard on the radio talking him through, this is Hugh Bird, the engineer for Sergio Perez. Had to celebrate those moments. A 13th Grand Prix win of the year for Red Bull Racing. Charles Leclerc with a 21st career podium. And for the season, that's his 8th overall. His girlfriend Charlotte looks on underneath the podium. Carlos Sainz was happy just to bring the car home in 3rd. But that's another strong response from him. Not his fastest day of the season. It's an 8th career podium of the season for him as well. And it was wet at the start. It's wet on the podium once again. But there's a smile on the face of Red Bull. After a bruising week of headlines, they've claimed victory in the Singapore Grand Prix. But for the first time in 5 races, it's Perez, not Verstappen, on the top step of the podium. It's his 2nd Grand Prix victory of the season. Both of them on street circuits. Perez, the winner in Singapore.